when I started writing, I was really trying to capture my relationship with Dad, um, the key moments that had defined that relationship, and how how I became the man I am today, in part because of that relationship.
What brought you to make poetry your medium of expression this time?
Uh, I really felt, as I was going through the experience with my father, of taking care of someone in long-term care, taking care of someone who is dealing with Alzheimer's, dementia, Parkinson's, for quite some time. Poetry felt like the only way to express how we navigated that time.
And so it was a very different process for you writing poetry versus screenplays and scripts, right?
Yeah, I mean, both all those mediums, they share a strength of imagery for sure. But to date, most of my writing was dialogue based. A lot of what I did was, what do people say to one another? And in poetry, when and where you put dialogue, as in this collection, is very important, and tends to be used sparsely. So it was tricky for me to sort of get out of other people's words and force myself to really be with myself and my thoughts, my feelings, my emotions. It was the first time I've written in a way where I had to ask, what am I trying to say?
The theme of this book is very much about fathers and sons, with the sad passing of your dad and the adoption of your son. Stylistically, this is mirrored with some parallel poems, for example, the two poems about starships. Was this your intention at the start, or did the poems evolve that way?
They definitely evolved that way. I actually started out probably 2 years ago talking with Marty about really my father. Some of that was before I knew we would be adopting, before my husband and I decided we want to build a family of our own. And so the book kept taking a backseat to life. And so then, we decided to adopt, and Marty asked me, is this starting to influence how you're writing? And I said, well, the tricky thing is, when you're adopting, you have to be really precious about the stories that you're telling, because they're not just your story. So, there are parts of my son's life that are not up for grabs to me as a writer, and that I would never give over to the world, certainly not when he's 8 years old and has no ability to say, yes, please do that. So it was tricky to find my spot in, my way in to those stories. And then I started writing about him. And suddenly I was going back 3 years in time and pulling out things that I knew had led me to the moments that I was in now. And then also starting to imagine where that would be going. That's where the parallels came in.
Do you think the liturgy informed your rhythms a little bit?
Yes, 100%. I grew up in the church, the Catholic Church, Our Lady of the Assumption in Windsor, Ontario. And it's hard for me to talk about that church without so many positive memories for me from growing up in that church. I was an altar boy. I sang in the choir. I was baptized there. My brothers and sisters were married in that church. It was a big part of my early childhood identity. Certainly the church and faith, it's at play in the manuscript. There's a poem called Confessions where I'm flat out addressing what it means to come out with the church as a background to your life. And also some of the struggles I had with some of the religious imagery and, the sort of iconic moments from the Bible and different spins that they took on in my world.
You mentioned the publishing practicum course at the University of Windsor, that you went through that. And as a screenwriter and a playwright, you're used to collaboration. How was that kind of collaboration a little bit different? And what did you find maybe easy or maybe challenging about working in that setting?
When you do a screenplay and you're the screenwriter, or you do a stage play and you're the playwright, everybody's looking to you for sort of, the theme, the ideas, the look, the vibe, the feel. They're looking to you to provide that to them. And usually it's one or two people who are looking to you, the director, maybe the producer, and occasionally the actors will reach out and say, can you talk to me about the character? When you've written a book like this and you've handed it over to a group of students, they don't immediately want your opinion. They have a lot of opinions that they're bringing to the table. So there's been an interesting back and forth of seeing how the poetry will land with people who are not my age, who are not in my demographic, or don't have my background, don't have my life or my lifestyle, and really being able to collaborate with them on how to still figure out the themes, figure out the message, and present it in the strongest way. So